I'm David Dinning, one of the co-founders of Jumpstart Go, which runs this Facebook group that you guys are a part of, Marketing for Insurance Agents. We created this group for you guys as a resource to connect, ask questions, find others in the industry, mastermind, share strategies, and find referral partners. And that's really wanted to do that in a super positive manner where we can just all focus on growing and scaling as part of the community here. And we get to do weekly trainings like this every Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern for you guys, where you guys can come and learn every single week as well. And then we love working more directly with agents inside of our programs, the Closers Click, Producers Academy, Legends, Consulting, and absolutely our passion is seeing agents and agency owners grow and scale. In fact, our mission is to help 10,000 insurance agents do over 10,000 a month in commissions for a $1.2 billion economic impact a year, whether it's through our programs, through the group, through our agency on the life insurance side. That's what we love, seeing the impact and stuff there. So we're going to talk about a very special client of ours that works with us and some of the changes she's seen and what's gone on, and talking about social and centers of influence and a few things with you guys today. So you guys are going to learn a lot. So with that, Stacey, please give us a little bit of an introduction on yourself. Who is Stacey?
Hi guys. I'm Stacey Warner, and I've been in the insurance industry for about 15 years. I just started my own agency.
15 years. I don't think I realized it was quite that long. Okay, so you've seen a lot.
I started in 2009 with Geico. Okay. And I came from the food industry into Geico, and luckily they trained from the ground up. So that's kind of where I started. Then I moved on to commercial insurance for an independent agent, and then decided to start my own agency because I noticed we did mostly contractors insurance. And I noticed that in the world of contractors insurance, there's a lot of agencies out there that just want to bump up their bottom line because they know that the contractors will pay it because they need the insurance to get the job to make their livelihood, right? So that was who I was working for, and I decided to leave. So I started my own agency in August of 2022 with the premise of Together We Thrive. My company's name is TWT Insurance Services, which is hence the Together We Thrive. But it also stands for the Warner Twins because I have 5-year-old twin boys. And that was another big reason for me wanting to start my own agency, was to give them some more time. But yeah, that's where I started. Together We Thrive. And then I found you guys, and it just kind of rolls right into my Together We Thrive concept.
I love it. I love it. We'll dive into a bit more of that. So what are we going to be talking about tonight? What are we diving into? So I'm so excited to have Stacey on today. I'm shaking. And so ready for ringing the bell, celebrating. We're going to be breaking down how Stacey went from a handful of sales to 20 sales in 2 days, as well as covering a lot of other things too, on how Stacey is doing with online using social media and in person with centers of influence, and how she's got more leads that are ready to buy, warmer referrals, and how she started selling more policies than ever before. But we are super pumped. So Stacey, I know you gave us a little bit on the backstory there, but tell us a little bit more on what were you doing before you met us as far as generating opportunities, what the business looked like at that point, what were some of the struggles? Would love to hear a little bit more of that looked like.
Sure. So I know everyone learns from what they know, what they've already learned, right? And from my previous company that I worked for, he just bought leads. It was just purchasing leads and chasing them down, and that was it. So when I started my own business, I kind of started with the impression that I wasn't going to be very busy. I was just going to, maintain enough to support my family. So I tried buying leads, tried doing word of mouth, tried talking to people. And it was maybe 3 or 4, maybe 7 a month in quotes that I bound, right? That was about it. And that's just because I didn't have much time to go out there and really promote at first. So I had my boys that were 4 at the time. And now they're 5. They're in school, which gives me a lot more time, which is nice. So yeah, just buying leads, not getting anywhere with them, kind of purchasing the leads, then not having the time to follow up with them at all. And that was just money thrown down the drain because I paid for these leads and I never even touched them. And I was just desperately looking for some sort of a marketing company. Well, not necessarily a marketing company, but someone who could point me in the direction of how I need to get these leads. And I spoke to probably 5 or 6 different people before you guys. Most of them were like, oh, we don't do contractors insurance. We only do personal lines. Or, oh, we don't really focus on insurance at all. Or we can help you. And then you listen and you're like, no, you really can't. So that's kind of where I was at. And then I found your MFIA. I joined that. I joined this group initially, just trying to get ideas from people. And then I heard about your program. So it was nice.
So yeah, before we hop into that, I want to come back a little bit. So the general was at the beginning there was purchasing leads. And so we've got leads to work. And it sounds like some of the struggles there were that they weren't answering. So contact rate a bit and even getting a hold of them, but then also the balance of time, right? So as time wise, how do I make the most out of this? And is the best use call in and hopefully trying to get someone on a phone out of these and then convince them to purchase and write a policy. And I would assume the amount of premium and business you were writing at that point wasn't exactly where you wanted it to be, or probably hidden the goals there.
No, and I knew I've helped 2 other agencies grow. I started with just me and the owner, and then they grew to like 20 people. So I kind of understood and know that it takes about 3 years to really hit your stride anyway. So I kind of didn't expect much that first year, especially having my boys and all of that. But yeah, the leads, I mean, in my particular situation, it really was not worth it because I could not follow up with them the way I needed to. So having the hot, warm leads are way better because they're more patient with you. They understand the process. Their people referred them to you. They kind of feel like they know you on social media. So it's just a lot easier because they actually take your call, and you actually can wait a little bit longer in between contacts, you know?
I love that. And so with that, besides the leads, because it sounds like those weren't exactly panning out, you know, and not that you weren't familiar with leads anyway, so you kind of probably were a little bit familiar of what maybe to expect with those. But were there any other things that you were trying or putting in place at that point in time, trying to make additional pipeline or opportunities happen?
Just, I joined, there's a co-working space here in my town. And I just started co-working there and started telling people in that network about it. But again, until I found you guys, I didn't really know how to network the right way. So I think I was just like hoping for the best, but still being a little bit, like you said, full of doubt, because you're like, okay, I know I've been in the industry 15 years, but I'm new to being a business. Do they really want to do business with me? And then you have to remind yourself that you are the best person to do this job. You do have a lot of experience. You know way more than they know about insurance, and you just have to be confident when you go into the situation. So yeah, that's the only thing I did. So only 2 things I did. Yeah.
It seems to be the common 2 things we run into, right? Like either, hey, I'm working for somewhere or for an agency that's like, here's some leads, call these leads, or the, hey, let me go out into community and try to hand out business cards, right? Now we know networking, and strategically networking is more than just a, here's my card, call me if you need insurance, here's my card, call me if you got a referral for me, and hope someone sends you something. That spray and pray method a little bit. So, but it seems that's very much the 2 common things. And so, okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I did also know that social media was going to play a huge part, but I thought I was going to have to pay someone to do this for me. And I thought I was going to have an expert to do it for me. So I knew I was going to have to do it. I just didn't know when I was going to do it. So yeah. That was the other thing.
I like that. Let's dive into that a little bit, because I think a lot of people know social media is an opportunity. That's why a lot of come to either a group or talk to us initially, and they're like, I don't know how to make this opportunity work. Like, you know, I know social media is silly and fun and there's things like that, but how do I use it for the business? And so with that, you know, what were some of the, maybe even some of the things you know now, or ever, what are some of the like misconceptions you either had about social, like, I guess like, hey, I need someone to do this for me, and far as how you thought how it worked?
Yeah. So I'm obviously having someone do it for me. I thought it worked by ads or people posting on your behalf about your business all the time. Business, not personal. And then I also thought that people would look at that and be like, okay, yeah, like it's another business being thrown at me. Like, you know, and so I didn't really know how to go about it without sounding or looking tacky. So yeah, that was my misconception, was that it was just all about business all the time.
So how to make it work? And, you know, is it, you know, hey, what I see others do is they just post about their businesses and that must bring in business, which we know doesn't quite work like that, right? And I use a business page for my business and that's what brings it in, or maybe I have to run ads in order to make this work for me. And so I think that's
personal and business separate.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people either struggle of like, hey, I don't know how any of this works, so I need to go find out and hire someone to do this for me, or hey, I'm going to hop on here and give it my best shot and just post a lot of either, you know, post or try to run an ad without knowing how to run ads, which is always super fun, and be like, man, social media didn't work for me. And so, you know, I think that's like, hey, I'm interested in this, so let me go see how I can find a solution for this. Is how I think one of the reasons we originally got connected. And then, you know, from the other areas, like I mentioned, that agents are very familiar with, of the, hey, let's network, let's hand out cards, let's get business in this way. but without really knowing how to define that or make a really effective referral relationship, or who even are good referrals. And hint, it's not everybody, guys, who are watching this. And then obviously the lead side that I think a lot of agents are familiar with in the comments. So because at the end of the day, I think everybody can relate to that at the beginning, because the first thing is like, I could be the best salesperson in the world, but if I don't have the people to talk to and have these discussions with, especially people that are interested, then I can't really write any policies. I can't help people, which is my goal at the end of the day, and then obviously earn income to support twins, of which you have twins. So, I think that's why we have these discussions. That's why this group exists. That's why agents, are very interested in like, how do I grow my insurance business? And that's one of the toughest things, is figuring that out.
I'm raising my hand. Just kidding. I was going to say too, I notice when I call actual leads and not referrals, it's weird because I almost feel kind of bad for them that they don't know me and that they don't want to do business with me, because they are missing out. Like, I feel like I'm a really good broker and agent. I really take really good care of my clients. And I'm like, dang, I wish you knew me better, because then you would really want to do business with me, And so those cold leads are hard because they don't know what they don't know,
I love that. I love that, because at the end of the day, I think that's something I fully believe in. People work with people, not companies. Yep. And I think the more we can come across of who we are, what we do, why we're passionate about what we do, that makes it easier to work with us, right? Especially when we have good solutions for them. So let's hop in. It was a little bit before, right? I think most people can resonate with that. But now the interest is, hey, what happened? What changed? So Stacee, two parts of this. The first thing is, when we talked, initially, and when you talked with Elle, what was the things that most interested you or stood out, or, I want to do this, I want to put this in place and hop in, the closers quick. And then why do you think the organic social media and centers of influence methods were so effective for agents?
Okay. So the first one is exactly what you said. People do business with people. And Elle was just extremely personable, down to earth. I didn't feel like she was trying to sell me anything. It sounded like she really wanted to help me. And she gave me a lot of input straight out of the gate without even me joining the program, like changing the cover page on my profile and what I should put in my profile picture. And I mean, literally all that benefit that she gave right off the bat was something that I was thinking, well, what else am I going to get when I join then? So that was one of the main things there was, Elle being amazing. And then, all of the stuff, the vibe I got is just that you guys truly want to help people. And again, that's been my whole premise from the beginning, is I really wanted to do this to help people and help businesses grow. So you kind of just fit my vibe. You kind of fit my vibe a little bit.
I love it. So after hopping in, like, I guess first, before talking about why it's successful and what the things are that you put in place, let's talk about some of the wins first. People are like, they always love hearing about wins and celebrating. I got a bell ready, so I'm ready to go. So Stacee, share some of these wins. What are some of the changes, some of the shifts, some of the stuff? I know you got yours, right? So, share those with us so we know what's been going on.
Okay, well, first, when someone on social media actually said, hey, I'm glad you messaged me. I need to get insurance, but I hadn't even talked about my insurance business. I was just like, hey, I see we have some friends in common. Like, did you grow up in Oceanside? Hey, I'm glad you messaged me. I need to talk to you about insurance. And I'm like, that was a win. That was my first win. And then just the one that happened most recently that you know about, which is the 20 policies in 2 days. I knew it was coming, because as anyone knows that's in insurance for a long time, when your pipeline fills up, it's gonna hit eventually. And so I had like a lot of people in my pipeline, and I knew it was gonna hit. And then I sold 20 policies in 2 days, but from 6 clients. So I had like multiple policies for each client, So there's that. And then just growing. And there's one I'm hiring this month for the first year. So
did you think you'd be hiring at this point?
No. In fact, when I spoke with Allie, who is someone that you guys have in your program, my goal was to make $100,000 this year. And she said, you're not dreaming big enough. And I was like, are you serious? Like, no way. And so she's like, you should try to get 300,000 this year. And I was like, there's no way. And now I think I'm actually on track to do that. So nice.
Okay. So yeah, tell us a little bit, the 20 policies in 2 days and 6 clients. Tell us a little bit about like where did they find out about you? Like, how was this kind of different than what you were doing before a little bit?
Okay. All of them were from your tactics, every single one of them. So when someone would talk to me on on Facebook. I would then connect with them, and then they would connect me with someone they knew, which then I would have never met had it not been for you guys. And then the centers of influence that you guys talk about. By the way, when I went through that part of the program, I was so overwhelmed with my thought process, thinking, how the heck am I going to have time to run my business, do this social media, do these centers of influence? But my advice to everyone is just one baby step at a time. Like, I have it on my board right now. The way to do something really big is to take small steps every day. And eventually you end up working it out. And these people that you end up finding from centers of influence, even though it might seem intimidating at first, they're really good, cool people that you now have in your world that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And I met some of those sales through one of my centers of influence also. So yeah, so all of them, every single one was from your techniques. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be fair, Stacey got so busy. She was like, I'll keep implementing the program, but I gotta go sell some of these people first that are keep in my pipeline. So I'll be back in a minute. So
yeah, exactly.
It's not a bad place to be, especially very quickly too. So, and one question, because you mentioned a little bit, man, how am I gonna? Can you talk a little bit like, hey, is this something that like takes 5 or 6 hours a day? That is like, hey, there's no way to balance doing these sort of things and also run a business and have family and sleep or whatever. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is it stuff that is extremely overwhelming to be able to do to where you don't have time?
Not anymore. So again, when I was going through the course, I thought it would be, but I think we adapt. I don't know how it happened, but it just becomes more natural. And I think you also start getting more confident in yourself and your business because you learn these things. And with anything new, right, it takes time in the beginning, but the more you do it, the easier it gets, the less time it takes. You start to realize some of the things that you can delegate out to employees or people that can help you, even pay someone to do certain things. Not the social media though. I don't recommend that just because it's very personal, you know. But yeah, back to what you were saying. No, not anymore. I don't think it's overwhelming anymore at all.
Yeah, and I mean, and if you could give a general overview of like how are you using social media and these Facebook groups and center influence a little bit? Like, I think for a lot of people, it's this like understanding the concept or even what you're doing a little bit. Like, hey, I know social media is important; it can bring business, but I don't understand. Like, I know what a lead is. You buy a lead, call a lead, you sell them a policy. You know, hopefully. But how are you using social media? How is this working? Like, how are people like connecting with you? Are you connecting with them? What does that look like a little bit?
Yeah, so it's starting to seem like I'm putting myself out there as like the expert in my local area, which is fun. So, and what I loved about your guys' program is that you said, keep in mind business posts by nature get less likes and less comments than everything else. And that was so helpful because before I met y'all, I was like, well, nobody's liking it, nobody's commenting. Obviously, they don't want to see this stuff, right? But then I started doing it. I started to get more confident in it, and people started reaching out to me. So I didn't have to reach out to anyone. They were messaging me. But the way you do it, where you go through and you like and comment on people's profiles, and then you message them about something unrelated to business, and then you go into the groups and you just interact with the groups. And eventually, like you said, they start tagging you. Oh, does anyone know anyone that does this? Oh, you should contact Stacee Warner. She's really good at this. So, I mean, it's just automatic now, and it takes time, but it does snowball after a while.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Do you find that it snowballs and it builds and scales on itself? And so, you know, and that's exactly what it does. It builds and there's more and more. So if you can only imagine in another 3 months, how much is coming from social referral partners and having to hire someone on your team that now would implement similar policy or strategies. And then now they have snowballs coming in too. Like, it builds and builds and builds. Is what I love. It's kind of like the opposite of leads. I start over every single person I call. I've got to explain, you know, who I am, build trust rapport, hopefully close them, you know, if they pick up in the first place. And then I got to add more leads to my pipeline. Whereas this, it's almost like doing the initial effort and putting this stuff in place. It just builds and builds and builds and builds to where, like, you know, I mentioned Joe earlier, like Joe wakes up with referrals. Like, you know, it's like, hey, people tag me in groups that I don't even know those groups exist. And I've got leads in the morning.
It's almost like you've got a staff of marketers in your corner because everyone's out there working on your behalf with these referrals, you know? So it's like you said, you wake up and I don't know if anyone here listens to rap or whatever, but my husband, I kept telling him on a text, I was like, another one. Cause I don't know who the rapper is, but that's one of his taglines.
DJ Khaled, another one. All I do is win, no matter what. Anybody, any classic songs from my high school days.
So every single time I get one, I say another one to my husband, another one.
You know, I'm going to turn you on. The best thing ever is there's a GIF of DJ Khaled going, another one. And so anytime our agents sell policies, I use that GIF a lot. So
that's fun.
So yeah, absolutely. So here's a good question. What insurance product does Stacee specialize in the most? I think you mentioned a little bit briefly, but yeah, go into a little more detail.
So I do contractors insurance exclusively. So general contractors, plumbers, electricians, welders, anything in the construction industry, basically anything that has a contractor's license. I'm in California, by the way. So anyone that has a California contractor's insurance license is pretty much who I help, or handyman, if you're a handyman. I can do commercial business for restaurants and other things, but I tend not to because I know my niche is this contractor's world, and that's what I like to do.
I love it. And that brings up a few things. So because we get people all the time asking like, well, does what you teach or does social media and things work for commercial? Like, I know there's a bunch of personal lines, but can you do this for commercial? And that's exactly proof of like, this works for commercial industry. And in fact, I actually almost find it almost easier on the commercial side because they're all using these platforms too. And so it's great. And it's easy to connect with someone when it's more about, hey, I would like to hear some more about your business and what you do. And the second thing being like, oh, can this work and stuff if I'm focusing on like my local area or like a single state that I'm in? And well, granted, California's pretty big, but yes, absolutely. Like, that's what I love as well. So I love hearing about that. And then we'll dive into this a little bit more. But before I do that, I figured this was Matt Murray. So Elle caught me on. So, hey, Matt, congrats as well. I'm excited to see what you're doing next. And let's catch up for sure. But yeah, that snowball effect, absolutely what we talked about. This builds, it scales. So speaking of, someone was asking, hey, I know it's kind of a broad question, but what are some of the things you did that made that difference put in place? And so, from what we've just talked about, it sounds like I'm doing stuff on social media. I'm building strategic referral partners and centers of influence. I'm taking advantage more of things, with the local side too, but more developing effective strategic referral partners. Can you talk about that a little bit more once again on some of these things you put in place? Because like I said, it's hard for some people to understand, like, what does this world look like? It's so different than buying and selling leads.
Yeah. So you guys, your program gives me way more than I thought it would. I thought it was just about social media, but it encompasses like the whole business, which was really helpful for me because you gave me direction, which is really what I needed at the time. I knew I could do it. I just didn't know how. And but what I've done is I just implemented your social media strategy exactly. So I would start friend requesting people, just like people that had mutual friends with me, or I would Google or search for contractors and start friending those people that had mutual friends with me. And then as I went through these groups, anyone that would be like, hey, does anyone know a plumber? I was like, oh, that's not me, but everyone in those comments are potential clients, right? So I would go through and request all of those people as friends as well. And then just starting conversations with them and just being legitimately yourself and not necessarily trying to sell them on the first try is, I think, what's been super successful for me is that, I have a good one, actually. Ooh. So there was an electrician that pretty much wanted nothing to do with me at first. And then I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? I need some electrical work done in my house. Can you come and fix my sockets? And so he came and he replaced some sockets for me. And then he got to know me. And he was like, you know what? You should quote my insurance for me. And from that one guy, I now got 6 clients that he referred to me. So yeah.
I love it. I mean, if it comes down, it helps, anybody listening. Like, what we teach is almost just modern applications of concepts and things that have worked for centuries. Like, if we go back in time, like pre-internet, oh my gosh, like, and to be fair, I was alive before the internet. But if we go back, if people were going to grow and scale their insurance businesses, they went out, they built relationships, they were active in their communities. They would, sponsor things or be involved in things, shake hands, kiss babies, right? And it was all about the relationships. And if I wanted to be the most established person in the area, I had the most relationships, the most trust. Sometimes that was just a matter of time of being there 10, 20, 50 years or whatever. And so people know that works, right? Like, hey, if I went out, connected with someone, made a personal relationship, they more likely are going to let me quote them or work with me, stuff like that, or refer people to me. So, essentially what we're talking about here is just, hey, how do I use this in the 21st century? How do I use this where I can help and do that same thing all over my state, all over the country? How do I do this without having to maybe even leave my home, or in my pajamas even? And like, how do I do this where I'm getting in front of and helping more and more people exponentially than I even could locally? And that's what we're really talking about, is like, how do I use technology? How do I use social media? How do I build these relationships really all through modern methods and techniques and strategies? Because what you're talking about is how do I use social media as a tool, like not how do I get on there and post pictures of cats or whatever and stuff like that. Everything you're doing on there is part of a strategy that is bringing the results. Otherwise, why spend the time on it, right? So did you think it was silly at first, or like anything like was confusing with like, man, why do we do this or that?
I wouldn't say confusing. I guess I was confused on how you said it should only take 20 to 30 minutes of your time, because I was like, I can't get through all these people. I was getting friend requested, and I was friend requesting. Oh my gosh, it was just so many that I almost was like, how can I do this in 20 minutes? In the beginning, right? But the more you do it, the easier it gets. But I find that I didn't realize how much I was going to love being a Facebook voice in my community. I thought it was just going to be something I had to do to get the leads, but now I realize that I have a sway on people, which is what is super cool. Like how you guys have us do the value posts, and how, you give educational advice out about your industry. And that part, even if I never make a penny from someone, that part really brings me joy. It's weird, but it's something I didn't expect that started to happen, which is nice.
Would you say actually have some fun with what you're doing and how you're running business?
Yes, absolutely.
Would you previously had called leads fun and a good time?
No.
I don't think many people call that a good time, right? And so, hey, if I'm going to build my business anyways, I'm going to build it more relationships and have fun while I'm doing. And like, hey, I'd like to have fun and also have people come to me that want to work with me and convert at a really high rate. So love it. So
can I say something really random? I'm not random, but okay. Y'all are in the business of changing people's lives. And I really need the people watching this to know that, because I literally didn't know what I was going to be doing. You helped me structure not only my business, but who I am as a person. I wrote in my journal multiple times when it said, what are you grateful for? I said Elle and David Denning, because you literally changed the projection of my business. And I'm starting to imagine things that I would have never imagined before. I'm seeing storefronts. I'm seeing billboard signs. I'm seeing all these things in my head that I never would have thought of before. So I just need people to know that part for sure.
The Warner Empire. So yes. Love it. It's been a pleasure for us working with you, of course, and only getting started. We got a lot more going, right? So lots to do. So now, Stacee, this is a very important question, and I know you've thought about this a little bit, and I know you've already mentioned some things on this, but I think this is something that people really like to hear, because they like to, hey, I guess the question is, what's your advice for agents who are currently in the situation you were in, and what you wish you would have known previously?
Okay, my advice for people that are in my position is to take the chance and talk to David and Elle. Just have a conversation with them. There's so much benefit from that. So that's something that I would say as advice. And also, if you're just kind of struggling, like thinking you can't do it, just know that you can. And it's just one step at a time. Even if you don't end up with David or Elle, just as a business owner in general, it's little by little. You don't have to do it all at once. That's the one thing I've learned. That's actually what I would have liked to know first too, is you don't have to do it all at once. When I first started, I was like, I have to set up the Instagram. I have to set up my Facebook. I have to set up my TikTok. I have to get a business checking account. And it was very, very, very overwhelming. But I just took it one thing at a time. And I reminded myself that it's okay to not get to something. And if I lose a client because I didn't get to something, it's okay. And you just move on. And then eventually you get in the position where it doesn't really matter anymore if you lost one client, So there's that. And I wish I would have known all of this techniques that you brought into my life before I started as well. Like if I would have had these right out of the gate, that would have been cool.
Love it. So with that, if you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, wow, I want help generating leads with organic social media and centers of influence methods like Stacee. Every week, we work with agents, helping them implement these marketing, sales, and business strategies inside of our exclusive community, the Closers Click, where Stacee works with us. And this week, we got some special bonuses for new members. So this is the time to get rocking and rolling. And some of these bonuses include how to get started with Reels and short form content. Absolutely amazing training on that. And we all know video is incredibly powerful. And so how do I do those, and how do I do those effectively? How to generate inbound leads from stories. And we're going to teach you exactly how to do that, how to put that in place, and how to bring in those leads from stories. And then the conversation starter strategy with templates as well, on how do I move these conversations into appointments, calls, and doing business with these connections that I'm making and these relationships that I'm building. So if you want all the bonuses and you're ready to build a profitable and sustainable agency that aligns with your goals, write me in the chat and someone from our team will get in touch and share more with you about how we're helping agents. So just write me if you'd like to learn some more about what we're doing, see if you're a fit. Also, the team, happy to get you some free resources and trainings that we got for you as well. Just write me in the chat and we'll be happy. And lastly, Stacey, two things. First off, who are you looking to connect with, both as referral partners and clients? And what's the best way for people to connect with you if you want them to connect?
Sure. So the best people that I would like to connect with would probably be people that are doing life insurance because I'm sure they know their clients. I don't know, maybe their occupations. So anyone in the personal field, maybe that has a lot of contractors that ask for referrals for business insurance, send them my way, and then I can send some your way. I need somebody that can help me with medical as well for my clients. So a lot of my clients are startups and they start hiring and they need someone to help them with medical. So that would be helpful to have a referral partner for that. And then to get a hold of me, you can Facebook message me or you can go to my website. I don't know if there's a way for me to put that in here, but I'll put it in after. So I have that or that's about it, or my phone number.
What's the name of your website? I can have Elle just drop it in chat.
Okay. twtinsurance.com.
Perfect. Yeah, our team will drop that in chat for you. So looking to connect with life agents, people that can maybe do like individual or group health for these entrepreneurs, these contractors, those that deal with lots of contractors, and those can be really great referral partners for connecting and synergistic relationships. So reach out, connect with Stacey, say hi, and let her know that you enjoyed having her on today. I appreciate it. I know it's not easy for people to hop on in a large group and talk on camera and do all these things. And so I appreciate Stacey being here and taking the time. And if you want to let her know that you appreciate her hopping on and sharing stuff with you too, feel free to reach out and say thank you for